Hello and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is the list. This is the moment. These are my favorite films of 2024. I know it's like mid-February, but I also have put out every other category leading up to this, including the top 10 horror films of the year. I did Best Director, Best First Time Feature, Best Actor, Actress, Supporting Actor, Supporting Actress, documentary. I did my favorite scores of the year, the most underrated films of the year, the films that I wish had audio description but did not, my top for that list, as well as my favorite audio description tracks of the year and the worst films of the year, in addition to 3 TV categories where I did the best shows of the year, best performances in TV shows, and also the best ensembles of the year. So it's been a journey, multiple lists. This list has been the hardest to do because it's whittling it down, and it's whittling it down into my favorite films from the year, not necessarily trying to sit down and figure out which one was technically proficient, technically the best. There's a little bit of a mix in here for sure of that, but also the films that hit me personally, the films that I feel like I'm going to watch again or have already watched again, um, the films that I feel like 10 years from now I'll still be watching, or I will have watched at least another time between now and then, films that I will revisit, and films that I liked enough the first time around to boldly recommend them. And my list is going to look nothing like other people's lists because I don't care. It's my thing. It's my list. This is what I liked. This is why you're here, is for a difference in opinion. So this is going to reveal to you really strongly the films that I felt super strong about. And I hate to toot my own horn, but even though I'm a blind film critic, I saw over 450 titles. I want you to let that sink in because I will be releasing a list of the 450 plus titles that were released in 2024 between theatrical movies, streaming movies, and screeners that I got. From studios, I was able to push that all the way up to 450. So I've seen pretty much everything, and yet I still miss some movies. But the movies that I missed don't seem to be getting critical acclaim. Uh, so I decided to just sort of relegate myself to the fact that I don't think Mufasa is going to make my top. So it's okay that I haven't seen Mufasa yet. I think we're good. So there are 30 films on this list. Again, I whittled that down from 450. A lot of other people, I've seen them do top 20s, and they're like, I saw 125 movies last year. And I'm like, so you cut out 105. I cut out over 400 movies from this list for perspective purposes. I really want to say it's a top 28 because only 28 of these movies have audio description. There were 2 movies that, as I was sitting there looking at my favorite films of the list, so we're going to start at the bottom with honorable mentions. And I'll try to mention where else, like what other lists you've seen them on. There were a whole bunch of movies that you're not going to see on this list that didn't make the cut. It doesn't mean that I don't like them, as movies. Some of the movies I've actually seen twice. There are plenty of movies that I've seen twice this year that I still didn't put on this list. Furiosa, I've seen that twice. Didn't make the cut. I saw the TV Glow twice. Didn't make the cut. Cuckoo, I've seen that twice. It didn't make the cut. Wicked Little Letters, Night Bitch, Queer, Lee. So some films Alien Romulus. Some films I'm like more informed on, and those films still didn't make the list. So this was a tough list. It was a great year for horror movies too, and it was hard figuring out where everything. That's why I have a specific horror movie list. There are some horror movies on here So I guess I should stop stalling and make this. But once it's done, it's done. So it's official. Anyway, before I do it, click like and subscribe. It's everyone else is running from DEI right now, and I'm basically trying to talk about audio description and accessibility, and the wider support, the more broader support that I can have, the better. Because I'm blind and this is my life. So, and I can't change it. So, uh, honorable mentions, the two films that I acknowledge if I had had a top 30, they would be in the mix. They probably wouldn't even be 29 and 30, if we're honest, but I put them down at the bottom. They do not have audio description. They're not even officially on the list. They're honorable mentions to a list. There are 30 films, but I'm calling this a top 28, basically, because I won't put films on the list that don't have audio description. But I'd like to recognize the fact that I really did love Big Boys and The People's Joker. The People's Joker is technically my pick for my favorite film without audio description from last year. I thought that was a breath of fresh air. So weird, so random, so wild, so crazy. But Big Boys is such a great coming of age tale that I think had those films had audio description, I would have felt fully comfortable in having a fully rounded top 30. But I also acknowledge I don't think that they would have been 29 and 30 on this list. So that's their own doing for not providing accessibility. Not that they care, but you know. All right, so moving up the list, what else do I have? Number 28 is Day of the Fight. This movie stars Michael Pitt. He gives a great performance. This film flew totally under the radar. I think I was the only critic that watched my screener. I'll make that bold of a prediction. I feel like that film just, I don't even know, is it on VOD? Did it stream? Did it go to theaters? I have no idea. I feel like I'm the only person who has seen Day of the Fight. But they did give me audio description in my screener, so I know it has audio description, so I can put it on the list. I liked it. It focuses more on sort of like the human experience before a boxing match instead of boxing. Like, it doesn't lean heavily into boxing as a boxing drama. It's more about the athlete. It's more about the town and the people and the world around. It has a great cast, a great supporting cast, including people like Steve Buscemi and Joe Pesci, and Michael Pitt, who I haven't seen in forever. He used to be reliably fantastic, and I feel like I haven't seen him since Boardwalk Empire. I thought he did a fantastic job, very underrated performance from this past year. You can also find Day of the Fight on my Best Actor list of the year and also underrated films of 2024. Moving up the list, number 27, Problemista. Julio Torres's A24 film. This film ended up on a couple of my lists. I thought it was bold and interesting when he first directed this. He's on my he's an honorable mention on my director's list. He's on my first time feature list. Tilda Swinton is on supporting actress somewhere on that list. You can search for it. And I believe the film was on underrated because I think it grossed low enough where I felt comfortable putting it on there. So yeah, it's made a couple of the lists, and just a very quirky, interesting movie. And I think Julio has a bright future ahead of him as a writer, director. Moving up the list to number 26. Challengers. Yep, I put Challengers on here. This one benefited from a second watch. I tried to watch a whole bunch of movies a second time. Some of them didn't benefit from a second watch. Like, I didn't love Hitman quite as much the second time through, but I did like Challengers. I still find that there's a lot to it. I enjoyed the score more. I appreciated Luca's direction. I watched this right after everybody was horny. You know, like, that's all you heard is like people were like, oh, the seats were wet. And it's like, this is not the horniest movie I've seen this year. I don't even think it's the horniest movie Luca Guadagnino made last year. So once you get away from that, you get away from the hype, the overselling of this being like some sort of, I don't know, sexual excursion. It's just a good tennis movie. It's a good movie about competing for life, for love, for respect, in friendship, and what does friendship even mean? What does love even mean? Putting that all on the table, and so much lobbing back and forth of a tennis ball also is seen through these relationships between three actors who appear on my best actor, best actress, and best supporting actor lists of the year. Also, you can find this film, you can find challengers on my best directors list of the year, and you can find this on best scores of the year, if you so choose. So, I liked challengers. Moving up the list, number 25, Out of My Mind. Yep, I'm sticking to it. I toyed with this a lot because I think people are going to be like, what? Isn't it a Disney Plus? Yeah, I love this movie, and we need to watch more movies like this nowadays. With everybody running from DEI, it's important to continue to look at movies that actually focus on disability in an engaging way, that put it front and center and actually present you not just with a heartwarming story, but actually show you the problems and show you how you could fix them. Like, what is it that she needs? Why does she need it? And if you wanted to support people like her, how would you go about doing that? I thought Phoebe Ray-Taylor was brilliant in this. I really appreciate the casting. I thought the whole cast did a great job. And this was a pleasant surprise for me because I truly had done what you're doing right now, which is written it off as a, just a Disney Plus movie. But Out of My Mind has appeared also on my Best Actress list of the year. It has appeared on Underrated Films of the Year. And I want to say that's it. I want to say it was on the list. So moving up to list number 24. The Apprentice. This is, yeah, I struggled with putting this on the list too. In this day and age, you don't know what to do with this movie. You don't know, do you hate it? Do you never want to see it again? Do you never want to touch it? Am I ever going to watch this movie again? Am I ever going to want to watch it again? Am I ever going to, does this movie depress the shit out of me? Does it crush my soul? What does it do? I have no idea. And I feel differently about The Apprentice like every single day, but there's one thing that I've always felt about The Apprentice, and that's I actually liked it. I think Ali Abbasi, it turned into the actors are good. I actually like the movie. I thought he did a really good job of directing a story. And it's the kind of thing where if the election had gone differently, I'd feel better about having this film on my list. I don't know that it would have ever made my top 10, even in that world. So I was trying to think about it as neutrally as humanly possible, just respecting the film for what it is. And this is where I came up with it. This is where I wanted to put it on the list. It is a film that's driven by two strong performances. Both of those were nominated by Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong, who are also both on my Best Actor and Supporting Actor lists of the year. And it's a film that it's probably of the top 30, the film that I'm least sure if I'm ever going to want to watch again. But I don't know, I don't know. So I do know that I like The Apprentice, and I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to not run away from it, not run to it. I'm going to just have it in here. It never would have made my top 10 either way, regardless. It didn't feel like that to me. But it does feel like a movie that would have come close. So moving up the list, number 23. Sing Sing. I've seen this movie twice. This is on a couple of my lists for Best Actor, Supporting Actor. I think that's it, actually. I think those are the lists that it made. Literally like a couple lists. The direction, I didn't have a screenplay list, otherwise I would put it there. I didn't do original song, otherwise I would have put it there. There are some lists that I just didn't do that I would have had it, where I'm more impressed by things, by elements of the movie. Um, I like Sing Sing. I think it's a powerful story about the transformative power of theater. I just think there's a movie that did it better this year. So Sing Sing is lower on my list. When Sing Sing wasn't nominated for Best Picture, I was sad because I knew it meant that A24 had not run their best campaign that they could have possibly run for that movie. And that was it, because Sing Sing started out this year with everybody predicting it to win Best Picture, and it went from winning Best Picture to not even being nominated. That's how poorly A24 campaigned for this movie. That weird theatrical release slate just didn't work for it. So, moving up the list to number 22, Snack Shack. I'm hoping I get my voice back. Snack Shack is it's one of those films that I've talked to a couple people about, and they're like, yeah, I've been meaning to see that, or yeah, I've heard great things about it. Or you find that one person, they're like, yeah, that's a great choice. I love that movie. That was a really good movie. It's a movie that really just flew totally under the radar. It was released last March, but it's a summer movie. It's the kind of movie that you release during the summer because it's about teens in summer. It was released in March. So, of course, yeah, it kind of just flopped because it doesn't feel like a March movie. But it's got Connor Shirley and Gabriel LaBelle in it. And I think really the only other place I have Snack Shack is probably underrated films of the year. I don't think I had Connor Shirley or Gabriel LaBelle on either one of my lists. I also really like Nick Robinson, who's in this. They just, yeah, I had to cut my list down somewhere. So Snack Shack just didn't, yeah. I think it's only on underrated films of the year, which it is. And Snack Shack is definitely a film that I see myself rewatching again and again. I actually already own a digital copy of it, so I can do that whenever I want. So Snack Shack is on the list. Moving up the list to, I think, number 22, Hard Truths. Marianne Jean-Baptiste in a Mike Leigh film. That's really all you need to know is Marianne Jean-Baptiste. I would say Hard Truths. I don't I don't remember it being on any of my lists except one, and it would tip my hat to tell you the result of that list. But it's very much on the Best Actress list of the year. I want people to watch my other lists, but yes, I gave Best Actress to Marianne Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths. So she's my favorite actress performance of the year, and the movie came along with it, and I was so captivated by her. I think Mike Leigh wrote a really great script for her, but it's so driven by her performance. But I love watching great actors do things. And I went back through and I watched some other actresses kill it. And like I've seen Maria twice, I've seen Leigh twice, Night Bitch. I've seen some of the other actresses. I've seen The Outrun. And those films didn't make my list. But the one film that I really want to see again that I haven't yet is Hard Truths. Because, man, what a powerhouse performance. I'm so sad that she wasn't nominated at the Oscars. I wish more people had seen this performance. So, moving up the list to what I think is number 21. Babes. I've seen this movie twice. I love this comedy. It made me laugh both times. I liked it. It's quirky. I think it's the funniest movie I have on this list. And I did. It's on my Best Actress list, and really that's it, because I didn't think it was underrated. It's on audio description of the year. Also, it's one of my top audio description tracks, top 40 audio description tracks of the year. So, but yes, I was able to. I sort of had a much longer list for actress than I did any other category because of the amount of actress performances. So Ilana Glazer made that cut, but I did cut supporting actress down to 20, which cut out Michelle Buteau. So I was, I acknowledge the sadness of that, but I can't have long ass lists on every single category. But Babes, if you haven't seen Babes, please watch it. It's really good. What am I at, 20? We Live in Time. I love this movie. It's underrated. It's another A24 movie. Gut Punch. It is a movie that definitely benefited from an audio description. I think I mentioned this before. First time I saw it, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know what this movie is. What the fuck is this? So it's on my audio description top 40 audio description tracks of the year because probably more so than any other film that gained audio description. We Live in Time shot up my list. It went from, I don't know, I was like somewhere in like the B minus range with the movie. I was like, I can't follow this movie, man, without audio description. Thanks, A24, for sending me a screener that has no audio description. But then, because of timing and everything, I was able to see it with audio description before I had even put out my review of it. And I was like, whoa, glad I didn't put that review out. Totally totally like just a 180 on that. Just so I would say Andrew Garfield's on my actor list, Florence Pugh is on my actress list, much higher than you would think she is, by hearing that and with all the names. Um and yeah, I really enjoyed her performance. So, of course, yeah, top 25 audio description tracks of the year. I think that's it for We Live in Time, though. I think those are the other categories that you could find it on. So, moving up the list. Cap Abigail. Number 19 is Abigail. I don't care. You can laugh. You can find that silly. I've seen this movie twice, and I love this movie. I've had so much fun with this movie. Both times I watched it, I think this movie's a blast. And I also wish that people like could go into this knowing little about it, but I have this a couple places. It's on my top 40 audio description tracks of the year, and it's on my top 10 horror movies of the year. It's also, which of course, because I mean it's a horror movie, and you haven't heard that many, so there aren't that many more slots. Otherwise, the rest of my list is just horror at this point. So yes. I assume it's there. Um, but yeah, I also have Alicia Weir in my supporting actress race. She's actually in my top 10. She's not even an honorable mention. I put her in there, you know. I felt more strongly about her devilishly great performance as Abigail than I did some other performances who were actually Oscar nominated. Alicia Weir has continued to turn in fantastic performances as a child actress. She's like this generation's Dakota Fanning, and I think we're sleeping on her as an actress. She's in Wicked Little Letters this year. She was an excellent Matilda, and I really look forward to the next things that she's doing as an actress. And I hope people continue to use her appropriately and give her the kind of roles that she's capable of slaying. Anyway, yeah, I'm happy with Abigail being on here. So, moving up the list to what I think is number 18, The Last Showgirl. I actually do like the movie. I know some people are like, well, it's just the performance. No, I actually like the movie. Yeah. I could see myself watching The Last Showgirl again and again. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could see this being a repeat watch for me. I already want to see it again. I just don't think it's on VOD yet. I don't think it's at home. I haven't seen it on the Apple Store yet. But yeah, Pamela Anderson made my list. She's really high on it. Spoiler alert. But Jamie Lee Curtis is also on my supporting actress list. So yeah, I liked The Last Showgirl legitimately, fully as a movie, not just as a Pamela Anderson thing, not just as a vehicle for her. The same way I like Red Rocket as a movie, and not just as like a Simon Rex performance or as a directed by Sean Baker thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I actually, as a movie. And same thing with this. I actually liked The Last Showgirl as one of the pleasant surprises of the year. I heard the movie was coming, and I was like, I really want to see this. I really want to see if this is actually, and yeah, surprisingly, it actually is. I enjoyed, and that song at the end of the movie, let's be honest, I think we've listened to the 5 best original song nominees, and Miley Cyrus's song crushes it at the end of this. I don't know, whatever wins this year is not going to be remembered. We have the worst 5 possible nominees. You know, when you consider what could have been nominated, it's just so depressing. Anyway, moving up the list to number 16. Better Man. I love this movie. Robbie Williams, the biopic. Um, I was given an audio description for this. I saw this movie back in December before it was ever theatrically released. Paramount actually sent out screeners with audio description, which was great. I thought this movie was epic. You know, the first time I saw Greatest Showman, I didn't even love it that much because I felt like each song didn't connect. I felt like you could hear like the differences between the songs, and like sometimes like it's like I feel like these were songs that were written for different musicals, but they were thrown together. And then they had the opera song, but it was like never enough. It took like my brain didn't wrap around it. I was like, okay, so she's an opera singer. Why does she sound like Adele? You know? Um like they couldn't find something that sounded remotely classical for her to sing this moment. Obviously, yes, I've seen Greatest Showman since then, and I listen to the music more and more as a music theater nerd, and it's grown on me. So I have a higher standing for it now, but back then, if this was a year for, I would, the Greatest Showman would not have made my list. Better Man, though, Robin Williams biopic, I thought he directed the hell out of it. And Michael Gracie was on my best director list of the year. Better Man was on my most underrated films of the year, and it's also on my top 40 audio description tracks of the year. So look for it in those places. And nobody saw it in theaters. Made like $1 million. So watch it. Number 15? Fancy Dance. I also think I'm the only person who's seen this movie. This is Lily Gladstone's movie. It's on Apple Plus, and my hot take on this is she's better in this movie than she was in Killers of the Flower Moon. I stand by that 100%. Absolutely. I would tell Martin Scorsese that. I'd be like, I think you have a problem with female leads, and you only direct male leads. You don't direct female leads. And that was a supporting performance that ended up in the lead category. And Leonardo DiCaprio, you were trying to direct him as the lead of that movie. He shouldn't have been, and there should have been a greater focus on the indigenous populations that the film was actually about. But Lily Gladstone did the most that she could with that role. And in Fancy Dance, she is the movie. She's the moment, as the kids would say. She is the moment of Fancy Dance. She's the movie. She's great. She explores a lot of emotions. Her sister's missing. She's having to take care of her niece. The government doesn't want her to take care of her niece. She has this strained relationship with her parents, and she's promised her kid, her niece, because they think that maybe her mom will be at this powwow thing. So there's this journey to go on a powwow, but they're not really legally supposed to be going to the powwow. It's a great movie. And I have Fancy Dance on Erica Tremblay as an honorable mention for Best Director, but she's firmly on my first time features. And Lily Gladstone she's runner-up. I put her at number 2. I'll just go ahead and tell you, spoil some things. She's my number 2 actress performance of the year for this. So for Fancy Dance, I loved her in this, and I've loved her ever since I saw the movie. I was captivated by the performance. And also the girl, her supporting female Isabel is on my supporting actress list. I put it on underrated films because I think it deserves to be there. And so I've made a couple lists. Moving up to number 14? Nosferatu. Saw this and I was taken immediately with several elements of the film. Robert Eggers is a director for me who has been getting better and better with each film. I did not like The Witch. I strongly dislike The Witch as a movie. And then The Lighthouse. Huge bump up. And then, now we're here with Nosferatu, and I think he's doing his best work. It's certainly his highest grossing movie. And this film, Robert Eggers is on my director's list. It's also, you can find it on Best Actor, Best Actress. It is the horror movies of the year, top 10 horror movies of the year, and it's also winner of Best Score. My best score of 2024 is Nosferatu. So hopefully you check out that list to find out what else is on there. Because not every film that's on these lists made my top films of the year. Sometimes they're only on other lists. Moving up the list to number 13. Between the Temples. I don't know what this was. Funny thing was, I didn't even prioritize it came as part of my Sony Pictures Classics package, and I didn't prioritize it. And then like it popped on Netflix, and I saw it on Netflix. Well, I saw that it was coming to Netflix first. And so I was like, well, I'll wait for the audio description. And I waited for the audio description. I saw it and I was like, oh my God, this is great. I loved this movie. I thought Carol Kane was brilliant in this movie. She deserved way more awards attention this season. And I really like Jason Schwartzman in this. He actually had a role. You know, he actually was giving a performance. I think Between the Temples is heavily underrated. Is absolutely he's a little lower on the list than she is on supporting actress. She's a lot higher on supporting actress. But they're on both of the lists. So check out Between the Temples when you get a chance. Moving up the list to number 12. Yeah, well, yeah, 12. This is 12. Anora. My screen reader is killing me. Anora, yeah, this might win Best Picture. It's my number 12 film of the year. And before we go any higher, I will tell you that there are 5 films currently nominated for Best Picture that are not above this. There are 5 films that are nominated for Best Picture that did not make my top 30 films of the year list. Anora is number 12. I've seen it twice with Sean Baker. I like Anora a lot. I do. I think Mikey Madison is great. I think the ensemble around her is fantastic. I wouldn't be mad at all if it won an ensemble award. I think it's very much deserving of it, with all of the random goons that come in and family members, and it's all around Mikey Madison. Yes, she gives a killer performance. She is on my Best Actress list. I do have a supporting actor. It is not Yura Boratov that is on my supporting actor list. Sean Baker is on my Best Director list of the year. So the audio description track, no, because it's not balanced well enough. So it didn't make audio description track of the year. Anything else I wouldn't really have been eligible for. I don't think anybody's ever been talking about the score for this movie, but yeah, so it pretty much showed up everywhere it needed to. It's just number 12 on my list, and I will tell you that I'm Still Here is not on my list because originally when I was offered a screener for it was without audio description from Sony Pictures Classics, so I saw the movie back in November without audio description, which was just me listening to. I just didn't put out every single review of every single international film that I sat through and just listened to people speak in a language I don't speak at the time. So and eventually I learned the film did have audio description, so I figured I would just wait for it to come back around to me. But I technically have seen I'm Still Here. I just need to see it with audio description as a blind critic. I did not put Emilia Perez is not on this list. But if you're really interested, Emilia Perez made supporting actress and top 40 audio description tracks of the year. Those are the lists where Emilia Perez shows up. Complete Unknown is not on my list. I actually would prefer Walk the Line if I'm talking about films by, biopics from that director. But Timothée Chalamet is on my actor list. It's also on supporting actor, supporting actress. So it made a couple lists. It's not completely absent. Nickel Boys is not on my top list, but yet Remo Ross was my pick for first time feature. So, and he's also on director list of the year. So, Nickel Boys has made an impact. And the last one is Dune Part 2, which Denis Villeneuve is on director. And it's on score. And it's on top 40 audio description tracks of the year. So like those films are represented at other places, they just didn't make my list. So sorry. Number 11 is Inside Out 2, which I liked a lot, but I had a problem, and the problem is that I liked Inside Out better. And I saw somebody else who put this, and they put it really high, and when they did their list, it made me ask a grand question of what does it say about a year when you have a sequel on your list, but then you also say to yourself, but the first one was better. You're saying, and then when you put that film really high, for that person, Inside Out 2 was like fifth. And I was like, so you're saying that only like 4 movies this year above this stand a chance of being, I don't even know where Inside Out was on your list from from that year. Was Inside Out number 1 or was it like number 10? Like it says a lot about the year to year comparison. So while I loved Inside Out 2, I am sort of also in that position where I would say the first one has my heart. Inside Out 2 is really good though. But when I heard that, it made me think, man, when you put it so high and then you say, but the first one was better, you're like, damn. Um, what does that say about the rest of the year? So I kept it just shy of the top 10. I wanted to recognize it because I have seen Inside Out 2 twice. I do love the movie, but do I love it as much as the original? No. I've seen Inside Out already like 4 or 5 times, and it's not even that old of a movie. So, yeah, we'll get there, I guess. But so it's just shy. So that way, my official top 10 feels fresh and not like, oh my God. So, number 10 is September 5. I really enjoyed September 5, even though it's not a film you enjoy. It's a tight 90 minutes. It moves through really quickly. It's really hard to pick for anything because, like, where do you put it? You know, it's hard. It was hard for me to pull out a performance because the film relies so heavily on a broad range of people, and it focuses more on the event than it does on the people. So I understand why it wasn't nominated for any you know, acting prizes. It didn't make my director list either. This is a weird film because it really didn't make any of my lists. Like I understand the September 5 problem because I would have put it in like screenplay, editing. Doesn't mean it's not a great movie though. I just when I think about like singular achievements, I'm like, what made this film work? And I don't know the answer to that question. I just know that I was moved by September 5. I thought it was great. I actually liked it better than Steven Spielberg's Munich as a movie. Like I'd rather watch September 5 again than I would watch Munich. So even though they're both, you know, about the same thing, they both tackle the same event. So I kind of wish September 5 had made the top 10 films of the year, had made a Best Picture race. It only has 1 nomination, but at least it's nominated. I can say it's an Academy Award nominated movie. So that's my number 10. Number 9 is Ezra. I know. You're like, did you put Ezra above it? Yes, I did. It's my list. I've seen Ezra twice, just like I've seen Nora twice. Ezra worked on me the second time through, just like it worked on me the first time. I'm extremely moved by Bobby Cannavale's performance. I feel like I've said that a bunch, and it's just me. Just like I like Lily Gladstone and Fancy Dance, I like things that other people don't like. And I have no problem ignoring all the FYC campaigns being thrown at me. And I'm like, where are the campaigns for these other movies? Bobby Cannavale was my pick for Best Actor of the Year from Ezra. And I went back and watched it a second time. And I stand by it. I mean, I think it's the best work that he's done of his career. He feels like he's fighting with every inch of his body. He's fully believable as a comedian and as a father, and the love and the passion that he has. He goes toe to toe with De Niro. It's such a great role for him, and I really love Ezra. I just do. Yeah, I've already seen it twice, and I would continue to watch it. So maybe a surprising film to stay on a top 10 list, but and oddly enough, it's really only on actor. You know, I couldn't find a spot for Tony Goldwyn on my director list because I think the movie is mostly Bobby Cannavale, and he is supported by a really strong cast. So there you go. Moving up the list to number 8, The Brutalist. I think this is really. I was like, where do I put The Brutalist? I've only seen The Brutalist once. It's one of the films on my top 10 list that I've only seen once, and maybe that's working against it. I do need to see it again. I'm not bothered by the 3.5-hour runtime. I think Brady Corbett directed the shit out of this. He shot in like 33 days for under $10 million. Like, give the dude the fucking Oscar. As much as I love Sean Baker, Brady Corbett, like if you're not gonna give it to Corley Farja or something bold, like I feel like Brady Corbett. As much as I love Corley Farja, and I think Brady was my number two. I think he's my runner-up of the year. Um, and I'm captivated by just what he pulled off, and I hope he doesn't change. I hope he continues to make big, bold films for little to no money and in really short record time. And you're like, oh, well, he used a little bit of AI. Yeah, he shot the film in like VistaVision. There's so much stuff about this film that's really impressive. Um, I think Brady Corbett is going to be a bold choice moving forward. And yes, I do have, while they didn't win any of their categories, Adrian Brody is an actor, Guy Pearce is a supporting actor, Felicity Jones is a supporting actress. Honestly, Adrian and Guy are pretty high on the list. Felicity's still in the top 10. She's just not like she's not that close to winning, but all three of them made my lists. It's also on Best Original Score of the year. So, yeah, it made a couple lists. Moving up the list to number 7. Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, I put this above The Brutalist because I really love Deadpool and Wolverine. I've seen this movie twice, and it is me. I mean, this movie is like, I feel like this movie targeted me personally as a human being. Like, this movie was made for me. I love Deadpool and I love Wolverine. I put two things together, and yes, I mean, I could see myself, I haven't gone through every single year, but I would be surprised if both Deadpool movies would make some top whatever films of those years list. Probably did, you know. And yeah, it's not the kind of film you would see on this list, and I know some critics didn't like it or didn't get it or whatever. It's not a critic film. It's very much me. I grew up as a comic book nerd. X-Men were my thing. And I grew up with Wolverine and Deadpool, and their film iterations of these two are probably the standouts. Like, I think the best well cast where Hugh Jackman is killing it as Wolverine and Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. It's putting the two of them together is just like, love it. And then all of the callbacks, all the jokes, all the little asides. I even loved some of the things that they put in there. Some of the jokes were so specific, so oddly specific that if you didn't get it, that you wouldn't know. Like the joke at Emma Corrin's expense about having an intimacy coordinator because she was the one that made sort of like a big stance about intimacy coordinators. Really at her expense, but that's the reason the joke is in there. Let's be honest. He's doing it right in front of her. He's calling, she invades his space and he calls for an intimacy coordinator. Well, if you are familiar with like movie news, you would know that she made this big thing about intimacy coordination because she was in a film, Lady Chatterley's Lover, where she had the opportunity to really be asked about it. And she had a lot of comments to make about the importance of intimacy coordinators. And there was this thing with like Sean Bean, where he was like, I don't think it kind of takes that out of the moment. That whole thing started by Emma Corrin. So the fact that they threw in a joke at it about it, I was like, what is going on here? She's in the movie, man. She's right there. She's in front of you. So yeah, I love Deadpool and Wolverine, and I would watch it again, and will watch it again, and again, and again, and again. Just like I've seen the other Deadpool movies a couple times, and Logan's, and Wolverines, and all those movies. X-Men films, I've seen them all multiple times. So, to not put this on my top 10 list feels weird, because it's got the most rewatchability, I think, of anything on this list. It's the thing that's most likely to hit 10, I would say. Moving up the list to number 6. The Wild Robot. I love this movie. I've seen it twice. Deadpool Wolverine, by the way, is also on. I did give Sean Levy. He's on my director list. And Ryan Reynolds is on actor. Hugh Jackman is a supporting actor because it's still technically a Deadpool movie. Audio description tracks of the year. It's on there. So yeah, I made a couple lists. And The Wild Robot It's my favorite animated feature of the year. In case you haven't done the math, there's only 5 spots left, and I can confirm to you that none of them are animated. So, while I haven't done an animated features list because I think the animated features this year are not, there aren't enough of them for me to do a list. It would be, I could maybe do like five, which would be a weird list. Um, I did love DreamWorks' Wild Robot a lot. I thought it was beautiful and captivating, and took, yeah, if it had gotten a Best Picture nomination, it would have been beautiful. It would have been a great film. It's nominated for 3 Oscars for a reason, and should have been nominated for more. I hope it wins Best Picture. I really don't care about Flow. It doesn't have audio description, so I hope it wins Best Animated Feature. And yeah, like I said, I've already seen this movie twice. I could see myself watching it again because there will be more wild robots, and I might want to revisit this before watching the sequel. So yes, it's gonna happen. Uh, it's on my top 40 audio description tracks of the year, and score. I didn't put any of the voice actors in anywhere. So that's it. Moving up the list, number 5.
Grammatical error, Cafe Cap, real Cap.
A Real Pain. I do love this movie. Again, another film that I wish had gotten an Oscar nomination for Best Picture. I've seen this movie twice. It breaks my heart every time. Both Jesse and Kieran both have heartbreaking moments. It's just that Kieran feels like the force, which is why he is, that drives the film, which is why the film focuses so heavily on him, and why the supporting actor campaign for him is taken off. But Jesse's really good. That scene that he has in here, it's, yeah, I mean, I'd like to think he got close to an actor nomination, that some people did vote for him. It's just, it's not that competitive, but he was just edged out. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to think that he was 7th or 8th. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was really close to getting into an actor race every single time. So, I do have him in director. I have him in actor. I have this in supporting actor. I put this as like a weird sort of honorable mention for score because it's not original, but it's the film where I think about the music, like, and the attachment and the choices of the music that Eisenberg picked for this a lot, and how well it completes the film. Deadpool Wolverine, yes, I think about like Bye Bye Bye, but I think Jesse Eisenberg's use of music here, if I could give an award for that, a Real Pain would take that for me in terms of use of non-original music. I would have given it to A Real Pain. So, yeah, check out A Real Pain. Number 4 is Conclave, which is the great Edward Berger drama. He should have been nominated. He's now got 2 Best Pictures, but no director nominations. Yeah, I've seen this twice as well, and it still slaps both times. I love it. It's a tight 2 hours. It's PG. And yeah, Ray Fiennes is on my actor list. Edward Berger's on director. I did put Isabella Rossellini as an honorable mention for supporting actress. And it's on score. And I think that's it. I did really enjoy this. It might be a top 40 audio description track. I don't think it is, but I'm trying to remember all the films in this. So, yeah, this movie is great. And the funny thing about Edward Berger is, I guess he's like my new favorite director, because 2 years ago when he did All Quiet on the Western Front, that was my best picture of 2022. And now he's number 4 on this year. So his rate of consistency pretty high right now for me. So we'll see what he does next. Moving up to list number 3. This is where it gets tough, guys. I feel very strongly about my top 5 in general, but I feel the top 3 was hard. Really, number 2 and number 3, flipping those back and forth and figuring out which one is which was hard. Seen all these movies twice, by the way. Um, my number 3 film, I did not think was going to be my number 3 film. And my number 3 film of 2024 is
Cap the Cap
The
Substance.
Substance. Oh, yeah, I'm not into body horror. I'm not into gore for gore's sake, and this movie's gory as all hell, but it's a great movie. And Corley directed the shit out of it, and I can't believe how many times this movie has appeared on my lists, how many things it's won. Um, and yeah, it's it's I've seen it twice, and it was great the second time too. It's a film. I was like, I don't know, is it gonna be like a one-time thing? Let's rewatch it. Oh, it is actually good the second time around. Still, I'm gonna still enjoy this movie. I find the nuances. To tip my hat, Corley Farja was my pick for Best Director because I interpret Best Director as when I award the movie, it's like the movie that benefits the most from that director individually, their vision. Like the film that they directed would not have been the same or could not have existed without them. Last year it was Greta Gerwig, so I've now awarded a female director 2 years in a row simply because their films were taking such bold choices, and I don't think that their films would have been an awards campaign without those directors. Barbie as a serious Oscar contender, come on now. Greta deserved that director nomination. And Coralie does for The Substance. She got a gory horror movie into a Best Picture race. That's hard. That's hard work. So, yeah, she was my pick for Best Director of the Year. This film is also on Best Actress, although Demi did not win. She's number 3. She's right below Marianne and Lily. Don't worry, she's not far down. I love my top 3 ladies in that list. Dennis Quaid is on Supporting Actor, and Margaret Qualley is in Supporting Actress. The film is also obviously my favorite horror film of the year. The 2 films above this are not horror movies. So since I did a top 10 horror movie list, it did win that category. So it won 2 categories, director and horror movies. It's also on original score, and it is also the winner of my favorite audio description track of 2024. So The Substance has been sweeping categories. Just didn't win Best Picture. So, I have 2 films left. One of them is not nominated for Best Picture this year, but if you know me, you know what that is. And the question is it my Best Picture of the Year, or is the film that's missing from the Best Picture race Best Picture of the Year? And I'll tell you that my runner-up for Best Picture of the Year is Wicked. I'm shocked as you are, and I refuse to give a nomination to John M. Chu. I do not care. He is... I'm not doing it. I still am mad at him for In the Heights. I consider this like a redemption, like a nice little like apology for his direction of In the Heights, the choices that he made that murdered that movie. But I can't believe he actually competently directed Wicked. I'm shocked. I'm so surprised. I thought for everybody else who was going into Wicked and we're thinking, oh, it's Ariana. God, Ariana's gonna be the problem. I was like, no, she's not. She started on Broadway. She was in 13 the musical. Cynthia. Oh God, they're doing Black Linda. This is gonna be Black Elf Brothers. It's gonna be a woke thing. She's not even the first one to do it. You know, like, I mean, there was all this bullshit online about Wicked, and it took forever for Wicked to get to the screen too. I remember seeing I think it's still on YouTube, there's a storyboard of the animated version that they were pitching back in the day. And they've tried to get this so many times, and this could have gone so wrong, but it went so right. It's easily the best movie musical we've had in a long time. But I don't know how much of that was actually John M. Chu, because In the Heights was also a musical and he did not competently understand the core of that movie. Here he just didn't cut anything and the movie works. So I'm very divided. But of course, Wicked, Cynthia's on my Best Actress list. Ariana is on my Best Supporting Actress list. The film I did not put it on audio description because I like my audio description to not interrupt songs, and unfortunately that's what this track does, so it's not on there. So for a film that is as high as it is, it's on surprisingly not that many lists. So, yeah, I didn't put any documentaries on here because I made a separate documentary list. It's hard for me to figure out where to put, because when I'm doing a favorite films of the year, it's based a lot on rewatchability. Will I see the film again? How much did I like the film? Not just necessarily, is this the technically proficient film of the year, but what's my passion for it? And with documentaries, I rarely watch a documentary a second time. If I watch a documentary a second time, it's like, because they added audio description or something like that. I just don't watch documentaries more than once. So I love documentaries. I'm all down to watch them. But as a repeat thing, no, it's just not my thing. So I didn't put documentaries in the mix. So my best picture of 2024 is Ghostlight. I don't care. I love this movie. This movie has had my heart all year long, and I kept waiting to see if it would lose it. Like, if somewhere along the way something else would come along. I'm a theater kid, and the film about the power of theater, about a guy who is going through some shit, clearly, and he walks in and into this theater troupe, and suddenly he's able to process everything that's happening to him. And then when you see, some people are like, is it a little too on the nose? I was like, I think that's the point. Is that not only is he able to process his stuff, but he's processing it sort of from a perspective of his family dynamic, of what his son was going through. So, and then as the rest of his family joins him, his daughter and his wife, in this experience, and Dolly De Leon sort of offering this wonderful supporting performance of him as this, just sort of like a person who just loves doing theater, but that's not their thing. Like, she's not like it's just community theater. That's the thing too, is that everybody felt like they were community theater. They weren't bad actors, but they felt legitimately good. Sometimes you get these people who show up in things like Barry, and they're trying to play like acting students, and they don't feel like acting students. They feel like actors playing acting students. Here, this actually felt like they went out and found community theater actors, and it was really just up to Dolly De Leon to match their level. And Ghostlight is my best picture of the year. It simply is. Like I said, I've seen my top 7 I've seen the top 7 twice. Brutalist is the highest ranking film I haven't seen twice. So in case you thought The Brutalist was low, I just want you to know it's the highest rated film that I have not seen a second time on this list, which is its own little achievement. But Ghostlight appears on Best Director. It's sort of like a honorable mention to first time feature because it's a co-direction, and it's only a first time feature for one of the 2 directors. It's Keith Cuckford was my runner-up for Best Actor of the Year for Ghostlight. And it's also on Supporting Actress of the Year. I just adore this movie. Yeah, all the way to Ghostlight. So last year, I tied Best Picture with The Holdovers and American Fiction because I couldn't pick between the 2 of them. The year before that was All Quiet on the Western Front. So obviously I just picked different films, but they're films that I love. So, and I love Ghostlight and will continue to love Ghostlight moving forward. Hope you like the list. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And remember, inclusivity is not a bad word. I'll see you guys on the other side.